I have a pretty successful real estate business here, and that's one of the first motivations for me to run. It's because I want to get our home values back up again, and I want to get people back to work, and I want to stop this foreclosure crisis. And every elected official we have now, and the ones that are running, all their plans are never going to work, and they were never designed to work from the beginning. Because I read them, and it was never going to work.
We'll move out of the road for just a minute. Well, what would be wrong with letting them all foreclose?
What's that?
What would be wrong with letting them all foreclose?
Well, here's the problem with letting them all foreclose. If you're not letting your house foreclose, here's what happens: there's two hands to the bank. There's one hand that's giving loans to people to buy new homes today. The other hand is selling real estate. They've gotten big into the business of selling real estate now, more than they've ever been. And what they're doing that's hurting the people that are keeping their homes is they're determining whenever somebody goes to buy a house, they're calling it's in a declining market. So what they do is you have a house that's worth $200,000 today after all this foreclosure has dropped prices down. You go to get a loan through Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo does an appraisal because it's now controlled by Fannie Mae, which Fannie Mae got us into this by loosening up all the guidelines. And they say, oh yeah, it's worth $200,000, but we're only going to let you get a loan for $195, based on $195, because we think it's a declining market. So now that piece of property has become worth $195. 2 weeks later, Wells Fargo forecloses on one up the street, the same exact model match. Now it's worth $195, and now Bank of America goes to get a loan. And they says no, it's a declining market, so we're going to have to drop it down to $190. And this is continuing to happen right now. We have the lowest inventory of single-family homes in this state right now than we've had in decades. Yeah. There's only 900 REO foreclosed homes available on the market today. 900. During the boom, we had 6,000. Plus, we had the hundreds of thousands of new construction homes. So, usually, supply versus demand, it affects the price. Right now, we have this overwhelming demand and no supply, and prices are still continuing to drop. And the problem is that the folks that are like electricians and casino workers, state workers, city workers that are being laid off have to go find jobs that pay less money. And it's not their fault. They didn't sign a bad loan. They didn't take out a home equity line of credit to go buy jet skis and cars and whatnot. So what are they left to do? What's their only option? They have to let the house go. They can't sell it. So it's another foreclosure because of the economy, and it's going to continue to keep going and going and going. It could turn into Detroit. We can see houses boarded up. Every neighborhood, I'm sure every neighborhood has got those houses with all the brown grass in front. Those are abandoned. We've got 26,000 houses that are what we call ghost listings in the city that the banks have already foreclosed on and they haven't put on the market yet.
Is that right?
26,000, and we only have 900 available. So it's important, not for the people so much that have the houses that we stop foreclosing on them. It's important for all of us, because we're in the middle of a 4-alarm fire, and unless we step it up and do some drastic, radical things to put an end to this, you take everybody that's in default currently and you adjust their mortgage to 90% of today's current loan to value. Okay. But it must be their primary residence, and it must be owner occupied. But so if it's an investment property and it's going to default, it's still going to get foreclosed on. But it's a lot less that way than it is with the primary residence ones. Now, the next question is those folks that are still in their house, that are still paying it, you have to do something to keep them from wanting to do what the other guys are doing. So what you offer them is say, flat across the board, we give you a flat interest rate, 5% or 4%, whatever, and we adjust the amount of your payment that goes to your principal. Instead of the 8% or the 3% or whatever it is that goes towards principal, most of it, 90% goes to interest. Yeah, we adjust that. 50% of your payment today goes to principal. And you talk to the investor that owns your mortgage-backed security, not the bank, because they sold that through Fannie Mae to Wall Street. You talk to that investor and say, hey, look, here's the choice. These people are probably going to take the risk and just let their house go because they're so far upside down. or we adjust it so that 50% of their payment goes to the principal. And this house that you bought for $200,000, that eventually, if you kept it, you would have paid $700,000 for it. Now you'll have only paid maybe $350,000, $400,000 for it. So that would be an incentive for people to not go into the default.
That's a clever way to do it.